Hey there, folks. So, last episode we finished off with our workaround for the fact that the anim blueprint for our NPCs don't have access to the character controller, be it player controller, AI controller, things like that. And that left us in a situation where we're ready to start work on the actual attack process. So, with that, there's a couple of things I wanted to go over first and foremost. So, let me just pull this up here. So, looking at our wolf, what we're going to want to do is, let me just find, where's his head? Head, ponytail, apparently reusing that. But so in here, oh, nice. You can change a preview scene. I just noticed that in 5.5. So with that, what we're going to want is we're going to want to add a sphere collision or a capsule collision. Ultimately, it's down to your personal preference. That's somewhere around the mouth of the wolf. Now, to do that, you want to add, well, and you want to keep it attached in that same location. So as an animation plays, let me just, I didn't want death, I wanted bite. Let's play bite, pause this. So what you want here is as there's the applied damage, which actually we want to be about there. Let's move that over. We want that sphere capsule to be just around their mouth. We don't want it huge because we don't want them hitting something that's like standing off to the side here, and we don't want them hitting something that's too far away. So what we do with something like that is on our skeleton, we want to add actually here on the basically what is going to be. So you have your neck, and it's going to be dependent on your animal. If it's going to be something like, say, a bear that has multiple, like you've got swipe attacks and you have other things like that. So I just realized I need to save this for where I move that to. Bites and things like that. Obviously, you're going to need multiple of these. So what we're going to do here is on what is our last bone in the head for the wolf, we are going to right click on that and we are going to add a socket. Now it automatically names it, but we want to rename that, and this is going to be NPC underscore bite socket. And this is a name we want to keep. So what I'm going to do, right F2 to rename, I'm going to copy that. And right now I'm just going to move this over to my notepad so that I have that for reference. Now that we've added that, though, we need to add that sphere collider and like attach it to that socket. So what we're actually going to want to do here is close out of the editor. What is unsaved? Apparently the blueprint got modified, but I'm going to save that. And then close out of the editor. And we're going to want to add a few things to our NPCs. So first and foremost, we're going to go find our, actually, first and foremost, we're going to close out of all of these because we don't need all of these open. Probably going to want to create a new define as well, but we'll get to that in a moment. So in our NPC base, where's it? NPC character. We're going to want to add in some functions. So we want these to be U function, so it's known to the editor. Void on melee bite trigger overlap. And I have this over on a side thing here. This is just your parameters that are needed for an overlap event. We have done this before. It's in our player character. And then actually we want to call that begin overlap to be clear. And then close that, finish that declaration off. And then we want a U function void on melee bite trigger end overlap. And same thing, I'm just going to copy over those input parameters just because there's quite a few of them and I don't want to make a typo. define these. And the reason, sorry, just to be clear, the reason we're doing this on the NPC is our player character is not going to have these. There may be a need for, well, there will be a need for, say, a melee attack, like punching, but I'm going to handle that slightly differently. So, and then the other thing we're going to want to do is create a variable to store that overlap actor. This is going to be a private one. U function, U property, not U function. Byte target actor. Yeah, and then we want visible anywhere because we don't want to be able to modify that. Blueprint read only. Category. Attack. Might want to change that category. And then meta equals allow private access equals true. Close that out. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is a actor. No, we're going to want to say a TF character pointer. I may change this. I am right now because I'm thinking maybe you have, say, a zombie that can, or a monster. I'm not going to even say zombie because it could be anything, but something that like destroys buildings. For now, we'll leave that as a TF character. So, what we're going to do here in our overlap begin is if a TF character pointer is car is TF char equals cast a TF character other actor and I just forgot what we called it. That is byte target actor. Byte target actor equals is TF char. And then if cast ATF char other actor is equal to byte target actor. And actually what we want to do here, just for self prevention, if byte target actor does not equal null pointer and I shouldn't say self-protection, so this is for ease of assignment. Here, let me set that. There it is. So let me just finish this up and I'll explain what I'm doing here. So what this is for is when that trigger actually, is it going to let us do that? TF char. No, we'll have to do that separately. We're going to do it this way, actually. Other actor. Anyways, so just to explain, instead of sitting here in mute silence as I ponder over this, what our intentions here is basically saying, okay, if we can cast this other actor to a TF character, we are going to quickly check to make sure it's not itself, because that initial overlap begin play is going to trigger. If it's not the NPC itself, we're going to assign it to our byte target actor. And then if our byte target actor isn't a null pointer, and the reason we put this first is if this fails, so if it is a null pointer, it does not bother doing this second one. That's what the AND condition does. If at any point in the order, and say you had 6 of these, that would be a pretty obscure AND condition. I would recommend not doing that. But if you had 6 of them and it failed on the third one, the 4th, 5th, and 6th are not even entertained. So it's if it's not a null pointer and the other actor is actually a target actor, we're going to set it to a null pointer. So, well, that's great. We have our overlaps, but we don't have the trigger. So what we need to do here is uProperty edit defaults only, blueprint read only, category equals attack, meta equals allow private access equals true, uSphere component, uSphere component pointer, byte sphere, byte trigger, I'm just going to assign those a class. Let me get this empty can off my desk. So we have that. Now, thinking forward though, what happens with our deer NPC? They don't bite you. If anything, if they're going to attack, they headbutt and they kick. I haven't looked at the animations that come with that deer, but so we need a way to not overcomplicate our NPCs with additional information. So what we want to do here is go void setup melee cool. Yeah. And I'm just going to call that a U function for now. So this setup melee collision, this is where we're going to be defining things. So what we want to do as part of our constructor, we want to call that. So setup melee collision. And then super, actually no, ATF character. No, I'm going to leave that. I think it automatically calls through to those. So what we want to do is we want to check for that bone socket we added. What are those called? Skeletal mesh socket. No. Oh no, sorry. Get skeletal mesh. Okay, so we're gonna have to step back through these for a second. So this is a TF character, which goes to a character. No, it's just mesh. Okay. Don't have access to that. Nope. Get mesh. Hopefully this function is there. Does socket. Does socket exist? And this is where we want that socket name we assigned. Sorry. It's 3 monitors and I still don't have enough space. So what we want to do here is if but we're also going to do an else, because this is going to be a case of we're going to expand on this. There's going to be byte, there's going to be like left paw, right paw, things like that. So now what we want to do here, we need to add in include components, sphere component. And what do we call that? That is our byte trigger equals create default subobject, use sphere component, text, byte trigger. And then otherwise we want byte trigger. Actually, no, I don't think we need an else. So I don't think that'll create anything if it's not there. So now that we have that, byte trigger, set up attachment, get mesh socket, not byte trigger, we want that name that we used, which is right up there. I realize as I'm copying it from the look about the scene component. Nope, I'm using the wrong attach there. Oh, yeah, duh. Get mesh. I believe it's actually just that. And then byte trigger. Now I've gone through and done some preemptive. It's not going to let me do it that way. Measuring and stuff on this to determine what's needed. Relative location, f vector 0. And then we want byte trigger finally dot add, byte trigger on component begin overlap dot add dynamic this, and then it's byte trigger on component end overlap dot add dynamic this, and a reference to not the dollar sign, ampersand. Okay, so let's just do a quick build while I talk through this. So what we've done here is we've set up a function, set up melee collision. This is going to get called on construction, like as part of the constructor. So recompile the blueprint will trigger this. If the mesh has a socket, NPC byte socket, we're going to go through and add in our byte overlap. Our byte sphere. We're going to create it, calling it the byte trigger. We're going to attach it to the socket that we named NPC byte socket. And this is where I think I'm going to create a new define file to store all of those sockets. And apparently my mute button also triggered that. So then we set its relative scale. I've worked out for the wolf. I did a little bit of testing. We want it to be half size, but we want it to be at the 0, 0 location. Now with that, because we set this up as edit defaults only, we can make some adjustments to that within the blueprint. So it doesn't matter if this doesn't work for every NPC. You can make adjustments for that as you go through. And then we added in the overlap, begin overlap and end overlap. Now, this is also where you would then, as you can imagine, you could expand this to include paw, left paw, right paw. You have some weird freaky spider. You could have left leg 1, 2, 3, 4, right leg 1, 2, 3, 4, things like that. It would get a little expansive, but you have to remember this is only going to be called on construction. So all right, now we've got that. Let's go to our blueprint for the wolf and see if things are actually working here. Blueprints. Pull this over actually so you guys can see everything. And there's our wolf. Open full blueprint editor. Compile. Okay, we're not seeing that. Okay. Okay, it's not NPC bytes. Did I not save that? Okay, it's not in a loop with that. Mesh. Go to there. Open up our skeleton mesh. NPC byte socket. Might have to do this a different way. Let's try making a new blueprint and just see if that makes a difference. I doubt it will. So dev bp wolf 02. Actually, before we go through that, I want to try one other thing. So get rid of you, close out of the editor. So what I'm trying here is I'm going to create that trigger, the over like sphere component. I want to see if that actually shows up. It should. And then, actually, I'm going to also throw a breakpoint inside the setup melee collision, because that might be the issue here. I never went this far with the code. I did it all through blueprints, and I know blueprints aren't always a direct correlation. So but yeah, if this doesn't work, I do have, as I mentioned, I set this up through blueprints, so there's a way we can go about that. So open up our wolf, open up the full blueprint editor. Come on, come editor. Oh, it's not being parented to the mesh, so it's not finding that. Could that be how I've... Okay, so that wasn't hit. Socket by name. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, we're going to give this one last try. If not, then we will go with the blueprint methodology on this, which I'd rather not do. I would prefer the code level, just because it gives us a lot more control over things. So. Breakpoint there actually as well. Okay. Yeah, this is failing. So if we do that, we're never hitting inside the byte trigger. Which I don't know why, because our mesh has that. Okay, so that is... Okay, and we can't affect that because it's... Yeah. And you notice it doesn't... Yeah, none of the other stuff is being... Actually, what I'm going to do, folks, we've got the majority of this set up. I know this can be done. There's going to be a way. I just need to figure out how or why this isn't working. So what I'm going to do between this episode and next episode, I'm going to figure out what the problem is here. As obviously what I'll start next episode with is going over what my issue was, what I did to fix it, and then we'll continue on because we're pretty much exactly where I wanted to be, except this isn't parented to the mouth like I wanted it to. So with that though, folks, I am going to be ending the episode here. So as always, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next episode.